Welcome in, everybody, to another edition of TinChattin. I am Drew Fry, of course, sitting next to Mike Moz. We are back here at Parkview Field, down the third base line, overlook at the diamond. We got the sun out, we got the sprinklers, getting the field ready to go for this week's series against Dayton. But Mike, just a chaotic past week on the field.
That's one way to phrase it. A total offensive explosion last Tuesday night in Game 1 of the series in Lansing.
That was unimaginable.
It was crazy, and we'll go into that in more detail in a few moments.
Yeah.
Offense was the key word for the most part for both teams.
Pretty much.
TinCaps did win Tuesday night. Lansing came back and won Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. TinCaps, thanks to 3 home runs, including a 2-run shot in the top of the 9th inning by Noelian Cedeno, won the finale 5-4 on Sunday. So
bookending the series. Still that 4-game losing streak, longest losing streak of the year for Fort Wayne so far, still very early in the season. It did put the team under 500 for the first time this year, but starting off with that offensive explosion and then capping it off with sort of those clutch home runs down the stretch, especially with Cedeno, it's at least something to look forward to and give a little bit of jolt of energy heading into the Dayton series.
And I think something maybe we can talk about, if not totally today, but down the road too.
Yeah.
When we look at the game of baseball, and we have said this for years, pitching, hitting, defense. You add those 3, and if they all come right in flow, you win.
Exactly.
Both of these teams last week had legitimate chances to sweep the 6-game series.
Pretty much, yeah.
And again, Tuesday night, the slugfest. The 2 teams combined for 29 runs and 33 hits.
That's all. It felt like more.
And there should have been,
yeah.
And later in the series, the TinCaps had one game where they jumped out to a 7-0 lead, 2.5 innings in.
Right.
And lost 9-7.
Yeah.
There were shades of great offense. There were shades of some solid pitching, such as Emmanuel Pinales in his start pitched very well.
Pretty much every time it seems like we bring him up, it's because he's had a good start. He's been probably the most consistent pitcher. I mean, easily the most consistent pitcher the TinCaps have had this year, and probably one of the more in the Midwest League so far.
And then there were times where I'll give you another example. I believe it was Game 5. It was either Friday night or Saturday afternoon. No, it was Friday night. The game was delayed at the start. There was a threat of rain in Lansing.
Oh, yes. Yep.
And as my colleague Jaden Taylor said on the air, the delay, not because of rain. The threat of rain was there. They delayed the start of the game almost an hour. Never rained during that delay, and they finally kicked it off. And all of a sudden, TinCaps got out to got some early offense. The scheduled starter for Lansing, highly touted prospect named Gabe Jump, a left-hander.
Yes.
Didn't make the start, but he came in the game in the 3rd inning.
Right, they essentially used an opener for him.
Right, and he gave up a single to the first batter he faced. He then proceeded to retire 18 batters in a row.
And striking out guys
left
and right.
At one stretch, 7 in a row by strikeouts.
Yes.
TinCaps finally got to him in the 9th inning for a couple of hits.
Which is, it's wild to have your starter essentially pitching in the 9th inning at that point.
And he goes out and doesn't get to complete the game. Lugnuts held on, got the final out that he couldn't get, won the game. And then you had a couple of times where the TinCaps, the defense, may have stayed in a locker room or at the team hotel. I'm not sure which.
Right.
Because there were flashes of brilliance and more examples of the reason why they're in high A and not higher up the chain,
exactly.
double or triple A.
It's still all development, and that's the emphasis here.
Yeah, so again, you put it all together, goulash wouldn't have been the term to describe what all happened, but the fans that came out to Jackson Field enjoyed what they saw.
I mean, I would have to imagine, especially that Tuesday.
Baseball fans in general, I think, enjoyed what they saw.
Yeah.
And I term it the good, the bad, and the ugly, because you saw a lot of good,
Yep.
you saw some bad, and you saw some ugly, either in terms of committing errors on defense or not being able to get the third out of an inning, which allowed Lansing to score some additional runs. So
Yeah. But I mean, they've shown the good on offense clearly with
Yes.
several of these performances. The pitching staff has been very strong throughout the year for the most part. Obviously, there are moments where it slips through the cracks a little bit. That's how it goes, especially
Yeah.
in high A. And then the defense has shown that it certainly can hold its ground. So it's about getting all of that together. And I mean, of course, we've talked about this before. I mean, that's kind of the solution that's so hard to, it's so much easier said than done. I'm sitting here at a table overlooking the field. I'm not the one with the glove. But it's easy to talk about that if you can get all three of those together, you can beat pretty much anybody.
true. And sometimes you can get away with getting 2 out of the 3.
Right.
But again, this is why the team is here. This is why we are in high A and not in double A or triple A. There is still time for greatness and still room for improvement.
Yeah.
And that's what the team has to do. That's what Lucas Ray and the coaching staff has to continue to work on to try to help develop these players into being a better all-around player with hopes of getting promoted at some point to be at AA San Antonio, eventually AAA El Paso, or perhaps the creme de la creme,
Yep.
getting to go to Petco Park. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Oh,
right
yeah.
now.
I mean, well, still early in the season. You don't see that many promotions. We do have one so far. One new member of the team just came up within this past week.
Right. Sean Barnett came up
yes.
from Lake Elsinore.
Yep, I think sack fly in his first plate appearance.
And he's a two-way player.
Yeah, I'm excited to
Just
see
to
how
see
that
what
plays.
happens.
Right.
It's reported that with Lake Elsinore, he was clocked with one fastball at 98 miles per hour.
Ooh.
Now, if that is true, and if the pitching speed guns, jug guns, whatever you want to call them, are remotely accurate.
Yes.
I say that tongue in cheek
Of course.
because over the weekend in Lansing, it's been no secret, their pitch speeds, I don't want to use the word altered, but
It was maybe not as calibrated.
no, and we're talking roughly about 4 miles an hour per pitch at a speed
Yeah.
of a pitch. So what may sound really good isn't quite so good.
Right.
But I think we ought to take a moment and let's talk about the opening game of that series.
Yes.
The offensive explosion.
From
led
being
by-
down, too.
Led by the top prospect in the Padres organization, the 18-year-old shortstop, Leo De Vries.
I think he certainly lived up to that pedigree in that game at the very least. I mean, showing why he is that highly touted top 20 prospect in all of baseball. But yes, I mean, the key that we've been discussing here is the not only first cycle of his career of the TinCaps season, but just the third in TinCaps history.
Let me rephrase that. Third in franchise history.
Yes, with the Wizards.
The first
Correct.
was done in the inaugural season of 1993
Yeah.
by catcher Rene Lopez, ironically. But the third cycle hit in franchise history.
Yeah.
He tied the franchise record for runs batted in a game with 8, the third player to do so.
Yeah.
And 5 for 5 plus a sacrifice fly.
Right.
But he started the explosion with the first inning home run.
Yep.
He ended it with a key 2-run single in the top of the 9th inning.
That triple bounced off the wall
A
and
triple
around the
ball-
ballpark.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, the triple, I'm sorry. Off the wall, and that brought in 2 key runs, which broke a tie. And at the time was 13 all.
Right.
Put Fort Wayne up by 2, and they needed both of those runs because Lansing got a run back in the bottom of the 9th and had the tying run at 3rd and the winning run at 2nd
Yeah.
before the TinCaps could finally secure the win. So a great offensive night for Leo De Vries.
Yeah. Well, it's something we've talked about before about him is he's 18 years old, but you can sort of see the maturity or at very least the comfort that he has when he's out on the diamond, when he's in the batting cage, when he's just on the field or in the batter's box. And I think you saw that. I mean, imagine coming to the plate, you've already knocked in 6 runs that day. It is tied at 13 all, and to still just have the presence of mind to be like, all right, I'll do it again. and
Yeah.
hit one off that right field wall. Could have been a home run depending on where else he'd hit it in the ballpark. It's part of that
True.
is just the angle that it took, and ends up being a triple, coasting to third base.
The thing that I like the most, Drew, is the fact that he comes to bat in the top of the ninth inning with 2 on, and I'm trying to remember if it was 1 out or 2 out, but the game was tied.
Yeah.
This is clutch time. This is
Yes.
what some players literally are born for,
Yeah.
to be able to deliver in the clutch and to have an 18-year-old with supreme confidence in his abilities to be able to come up in that situation and pull it off.
Right.
I use the word phenomenal. It's just very neat to see, and that's why I always encourage fans to come out to Parkview Field when you have somebody with the talent and potential
Yeah.
of a Leo De Vries.
You can say
You
one
never
day.
know how long he's going to be here, so
Yep.
catch him while you can,
Exactly.
so to speak.
I mean, we've had guys who are at the major league level now who have been here at Parkview Field that have played for the TinCaps, ranging anywhere from a full season to about, I think, 2 to 3 games. I think there's a few guys who played less than a week here, but they went on to do big
We
big
had
things.
2 former TinCaps who made their major league debuts last weekend
Did.
with San Diego,
Yes.
which brings the total number of players who have played in Fort Wayne to make it to the major leagues to 231.
That is insane.
231.
Yeah.
And
And most of their names out there on the wall if you
Yes.
pass by Parkview Field.
yeah, and that's an amazing number. But that just goes to show you, if a player has potential and a player has talent,
Yeah.
and if that player has stick-to-itiveness,
Right. That work ethic,
if
that
they
drive.
want it bad enough,
Yeah.
they'll do what it takes to get there. And that's something that Leo De Vries is striving for right now. Truthfully, he's got all the talent in the world, but he has to develop some polish. And
Yes.
he has to develop playing the game the way it's supposed to be played. You can have all the talent in the world. That doesn't mean you're going to be successful all the time.
Well, right. I mean, you could be as fast as ever, but you have to pick your time to steal the bases.
Correct.
You have to make sure, because you'll see guys, especially in the farm system, who might attempt to swipe, 50 bags in a year, and they steal 30. 30 is still a good number,
True.
but you're also responsible for 20 outs that you wouldn't have been otherwise. It's about being able to pick the times, read the pitcher, read the catcher, read even the second baseman or shortstop sliding into the bag.
And on the defensive side, we talked about the brilliance of De Vries in game 1 of the series. Later on in the series, he had a really rough night defensively,
Yeah.
committed 2 errors, could have been called for 2 more.
Right.
So on the defensive side, you also have to maintain your focus.
Yes.
You can have a howitzer for a throwing arm.
Yeah.
And I think De Vries has that.
Yeah.
But you also need to know, as Kenny Rogers sang in The Gambler, know when to hold it and know when to fold it. And there are some times when you have to think ahead. You may have a great throwing arm. You may have great instincts to be able to get to a ground ball. But there are times and situations when it's better not to make that, but have to be almost a perfect throw.
Right.
Or try not to make the seemingly impossible play possible.
Yeah, you have to have that baseball IQ, the presence of mind, where you
Correct.
are on the field, what the situation is, that sort of a thing.
You only get that by experience.
Yes.
And so I guess I would say, don't try to be the hero all the time. Try to be the hero some of the time,
Yeah.
and see what happens. And again, we use the phrase, learn from experience. You do it at the plate, you do it in the field, you do it on the mound, you do it on the bases, you do it in the dugout, observing as
Yes.
the game progresses. All kinds of ways to improve.
Oh, of course.
And that's what these guys are here in Fort Wayne for right now,
Yeah.
to learn and improve.
Yeah. Well, this Fort Wayne team does have experience against their next opponent already. It's the return of a series against Dayton. 6 more. These 6 are going to be in Parkview Field. Is there something you feel like they learned from the last time? Or, I mean, they did split that series, which is positive on the road. But especially after losing 4 last week, they're going to have to try and sort of step it up, take it a bit further, and try and steal some of these games from Dayton.
When they played the 6 games at Day Air Ballpark, the TinCaps won the opening game on a Tuesday night. Dayton came back and won Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yep.
And Fort Wayne had to come back and get wins on both Saturday and Sunday. That's additional pressure that you'd like to avoid. The fact that they're back home. And the TinCaps at home are 5-4 starting this series. But they've got what we have called for a long, long time, the 10th man.
Yes.
The fans here at Parkview Field.
Oh yeah, the energy. I mean, having the mascot and in all of the games that you're familiar with, having the music play when you get the hits. Yeah, that adds an extra element of that comfortability that we're talking about.
It really does. The fact that this team knows they can beat Dayton because they split 6 games. That means they won 3 of those 6.
Exactly.
That
the
means
last
they
2
lost 3 of those 6. They know they've seen both sides of the river, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it's going to be an interesting week. We're going to hopefully get to see some better pitching. I know on Tuesday night I haven't seen the rotation yet, but if form holds,
right,
Ian Koenig should get the ball on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Rough
last outing, but
I think Friday night may be the night for Pinellas.
Yeah.
Eric Yost has been the Sunday starter 3 Sundays in a row.
Right.
You're hoping for some better outings from some of the others, such as
you get Lowe out there.
Lowe out there. Isaiah had a better start after the previous 2 starts of his. He never got out of the first inning.
Yep.
Jose Reyes has been up and down.
He's shown his potential, certainly. It's about the consistency.
Candiotti has had a couple of good outings. Still waiting for that breakout outing.
Right, but he's building.
And then you look. We talked briefly last week about left-hander Harry Gustin, who went to the University of Hawaii.
Yeah.
He had a really good outing, and above average outing where he gave up a couple of key hits.
Right.
So again, the potential is there.
Yeah. And
Garrett
looking
Hawkins
at that,
has had a bad outing and a couple of good ones.
Yeah,
so,
it's about that bullpen especially. They have shown they can lock down. There's so much talent in that pen, but all it takes is one bad pitch and then the evening's ruined when you're playing that precise of a role.
And learning to achieve consistency. You and I could spend 3 shows talking about that one word by itself.
Yeah.
But it's what the players are here for.
Exactly.
To hone their skills, adapt to situations, take what the coaching staff instructs them to do, and just become consistent, knowing that if you come to the plate, you know that you can get the bat on the ball.
Yes.
If you're a base runner, you know you can perhaps try to steal a base or maybe a little hit and run.
Yeah.
Take advantage of what situations you can.
At least get in the opposing pitcher's head.
Yeah.
Become a focal point to,
And on the defensive side, on the pitching side, we have talked, and both Lucas Ray and Thomas Escherman, the pitching coach, have said they put a lot of faith and trust in the 3 catchers on the roster.
Yeah.
The catchers call the game.
Right, and that relationship with the pitcher is so important.
Right. And so again, here's a chance for, if you want to call it blending, melding, meshing, pick whatever adjective you want.
Yeah.
But I'll use meshing for right now, between the pitcher and the catchers, and the offense and the defense. It all, as I like to say sometimes, it all can come to fruition.
Yep.
If they focus and put their mind to it.
Exactly.
And that's what playing these games are all about, doing exactly that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We can sit here and talk about the record. We can sit here and talk about the standings. Of course, we're early in the season, but as we're mentioning, the key is right now especially is the development, is making sure that these players are set up for the future, and maybe they'll be set up for the home stretch, in the short term. That will work out really well for TinCaps fans. But again, the key is going to be making sure that these guys are able to develop and get to AA and get to AAA and ultimately become big league ball players.
And it all starts on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And briefly, a couple of promotions this week. Of course, Tuesday is always U.S. Foods Family Feast Night.
Right.
Some discounted items at the concession stand. Wednesday is Paws and Claws, where you can bring your pet to the ballpark.
I saw this huge dog the other day. It was probably about half my height. Just kind of wandering around the ballpark on that Wednesday, and I was like, that's what this is about.
Thirsty Thursday
Yep.
is the benchmark for promotions.
Right.
Ironically started by the Lansing Lugnets for teams in the Midwest League several years ago.
Yeah. Working
And
out well for Parkview Field now.
Thursday
Yep.
is great. I'm not sure what Friday holds. Saturday night, I wanted to mention this. We talked about it before we started this segment. It is going to be Military Appreciation Night.
Right.
And I'm a proud father of a son who spent nearly 6 years in the Navy.
Yes.
My brother was a prisoner of war in Vietnam. My father served on 3 destroyers in the U.S. Navy in World War II that were sunk. By the grace of God, he survived, amongst others. I know our good colleague who worked with me for a number of years on the radio side, worked on the TV side when this ballpark opened, Ken Horman.
Yeah.
His dad was a brigadier general in the service. I cannot remember which branch. I still remember, I want to say it was 2010, if my memory is correct.
Yeah.
Military Appreciation Night came, and one of the greatest joys I've ever seen in this ballpark was there was a family whose dad and husband was serving overseas, and they were honoring him through her and the kids. But what she didn't know is that he was able to get free and come home on leave early. And I will never forget the sight of when the wife and the mom was asked to turn around.
Yeah.
And there was hubby and dad and the wife and the mom. And there was not a dry eye in this place that night. And the emotions were there. And the meaning of Military Appreciation Night is almost undescribable.
Yeah.
A chance for families here and fans here to honor those who have served this country and have made it possible for minor league baseball to be played here at Parkview Field, plain and simple. That's one of my favorite nights of the year.
Yeah.
And then, of course, on Sunday, post-game autographs
Yeah.
after the ball game, where the fans can come out on the field
Yeah.
and they can meet their favorite player or coach or manager, Lucas Ray.
That's a fun moment to have every
And then,
week.
so a lot of great opportunities for a lot of great things to happen this week here at Parkview Field,
Yeah.
in addition to what we hope will be 6 exciting baseball games.
I mean, if last week was any indication, we're going to have plenty of excitement and quite possibly plenty of scoring.
Yeah. Hopefully so.
Yes.
And from a biased standpoint, hopefully the TinCaps
Right.
come out on top in
And it makes
each
your job
of the 6 games. to
makes
be
your
played.
job easier too if you get a lot of action to be calling. I feel like
True.
after a while, if you're sitting there through a bunch of 1-0 ball games,
I would love the opportunity to say 6 times on the radio when the final out is made, ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner.
yeah,
And hopefully that'll come true.
there we go. Well, talking about that offense, it's going to take us to our question of the week. Last week was about pitching. I think both of us were way off because the pitching staff was just a little all over the place. Again, flashing their moments, but giving up some runs in the process. But so this week we're going to switch to the offense, specifically Leo De Vries. He's been the hottest hitter pretty much on the planet this past week with what he did, especially on that Tuesday night with the cycle. One big thing for him, and you see this a lot when it comes to development, is those extra base hits. Is not just kind of blooping a single over to the third baseman's head, you know, fouling one off on the end of the bat, but being able to hit the ball hard with oomph, you know, with emphasis to a deep part of the ballpark, whether it's a home run, double, with his speed can turn into triples. We've seen that a lot with him.
De Vries right now, as we speak, prior to the start of the series, has 17 base hits.
Yeah.
Amongst those 17 hits, 3 doubles, 3 triples, 3 home runs. That's 9 extra base hits out of the 17 he has. He also leads the team in runs batted in with 13, including that 8 spot a week ago Tuesday.
That's certainly going to bump those numbers up.
And he's stolen a couple of bases as well.
Yep.
So he is, you know, we talk about in football offensive and defensive coordinators. In baseball, De Vries is an offensive generator.
Yes.
Because he bats either first or second in the batting order. He can get on base. He can move. He's got some power.
And it helps the guys down the order when they can come up to the plate with someone already in scoring position.
Yeah, we always talk about the leadoff hitter especially, and maybe the 2-hitter as well.
Right.
Are the table setters. How they get the offense started more often than not determines how the rest of the team does offensively. So if you get a guy like Leo De Vries that can start the party, if you will, and be it a single, be it the extra base hit, be it the stolen base, that can only bode well for this TinCap team.
Yeah.
Especially this week in this upcoming series with Dayton.
Definitely. And so the question now that we're going to set the mark for is how many specifically extra base hits, so doubles, triples, or home runs, are we going to see out of Leo De Vries at Parkview Field this week? So that's in 6 games. He's got the 9 so far.
And more than likely there'll be one game that he will sit out.
That's true.
That's been the norm thus far.
So in 5 games, we're feeling how many extra base hits here?
You think the potential of 20 at-bats.
Yeah. We got to do some mental math here.
My uneducated guess, I will say 4.
Okay.
4 extra base hits this week from Leo De Vries.
That's around the number I was thinking too. I feel like it could be anywhere from
You can say 4.
Well, yeah, that's true. But I feel like on something like here, I wanna be different for the sake of being different, but also for the sake of trying to pinpoint like the exact number too. I mean, it could go anywhere. I would feel good anywhere between like 2 and 7, with just especially the way he's been hitting lately. I mean, 4 extra base hits just in one game on Tuesday. I don't necessarily think we're going to see that performance again. I don't know if the next time we're going to see a performance like that again. But yeah, I'm going to say he keeps hitting. I'm going to say he gets at least 2 multi-hit games.
Go ahead.
I will go for 5.
Okay.
We'll go 1 higher because we want to have fun with it.
Jeez,
and plus I figure
I thought you might go 6.
Can we do 5.5?
No. There's no over/under.
Yeah, no. I'm trying to ride the line right here. If I'm
go with your gut and your instinct.
Okay. Well, we're gonna say 3 doubles, 1 triple, and 2 homers this week. We'll make it 6. We'll make it 6. That's a very specific.
Mark it here.
Yes, that's a very specific prediction, but might as well go big or go home, right?
Go big or go home.
Or go big at home.
Ooh, very good.
I'm trying to think here.
It's what I
got the creative juices going.
Kentucky education.
I don't know if that's necessarily a compliment, but I will take it as such. All right. Well, we've got this week ahead of us. Yeah. A lot of fun, a lot of excitement. So, Mike, thanks for joining me. Once again, I'm Drew Fry. We will, of course, be back somewhere else in the ballpark next week. Until then, thanks for watching, and we'll see you out at the ballpark.